Hey guys, what is going on here? It is Mr. Beetle 890, and today I'm coming at you with a brand new video. And today I thought I would do an audio commentary video because I haven't really done one for a while, and also I feel like with a lot of my videos that I've been doing, it's just been sort of pay-per-view reviews, sort of like not old school, but old past pay-per-views, and then obviously Great Balls of Fire as well, which is my most recent video. So I thought I'd kind of spice things up a bit because I wasn't really sure what to do a video on, because I was thinking like, well, the slider videos I need to do. And I think definitely in the summer there'll be more variety in content. Like there's going to be more top lists for superstars. I might try and try and bring back the top 20 matches of the year. I know I need to do 96, and I might work back for a few more years there. So yeah, I think anyway, without further ado, as you can probably tell by the video and thumbnail, this topic is going to be on sort of Brock Lesnar and my thoughts on Lesnar since his WWE return in 2012 and onwards, and obviously his contract, from what I believe it runs out, expires sort of WrestleMania 34 time, and there's been no sort of real, I haven't really heard much on whether he'll sign a new deal or not or whatever. But I just sort of want to discuss my personal thoughts on Lesnar's return and his run in the WWE so far, because I feel like there's quite a lot I want to say about it, and kind of my opinions. It'd be interesting because I'm not quite sure completely what the overall opinion on Lesnar is at the moment, because I feel like wrestling on the internet, it's not as, now obviously I can imagine, sort of quite a few years ago it was a lot more of a niche, but it was a lot more of a sort of smaller demographic. Whereas now so many people are on the internet, so many people have different opinions. It's hard to get a sort of overall opinion on certain things. And I feel like Brock Lesnar is someone who really divides people in terms of opinions, and whatnot. So I kind of want to get kind of sort of wanted to chip in my sort of 2 cents, really. And if you agree with me, that's awesome. If you don't, that's fine. Like, it's wrestling's a very subjective thing. Like, no one's ever going to fully agree. So yeah, let's get into it. So obviously Lesnar returned the night after WrestleMania 28 to enter a feud with John Cena, and he obviously returned. He pretended to he shook Cena's hand. You thought, oh, it's mutual respect, and then he F5s him, and then it started this whole Lesnar bringing legitimacy back to the WWE sort of thing, which is, it was what it was. I didn't necessarily. I just thought one of the big problems early on was sort of Lesnar being on the mic. It just really. I feel like Lesnar just shouldn't cut promos really for the most part. I feel like, I just feel like for the most part he's not a great promo. So he had the feud with Cena, and the match at Extreme Rules was awesome. It was a really, really great match. Underrated, actually, I think. One of his best matches since he returned. Is it his best? I would probably say no, but it's definitely up there for sure, easily. So yeah, and see, this is kind of the first problem. I feel he lost to John Cena. I think this was wrong on a number of levels. And it's not even just, oh, I don't like Cena, that sort of thing. I don't even dislike Cena as much as I used to anyway at this point. But anyway, I think there are a number of reasons why he shouldn't have lost that match. Firstly, it was his first match back. And Lesnar, him returning, like, it was, a good 8 years since he left after WrestleMania 20. So there's gonna be quite a few new sort of fans who maybe have heard of Brock Lesnar, and sort of of him, but they didn't necessarily see much of him. So this is kind of, for a lot of people, this would have been their first sort of exposure to Lesnar, and him losing to Cena, I think, was just a silly move. And also, I think another reason why I think Lesnar winning actually would have made a lot of sense was they were doing this whole John Cena sort of redemption storyline against The Rock, how he lost and his life went in a sort of a downward spiral, and you could have had this as part of the thing, part of the downward spiral, like him just losing to Lesnar and that sort of thing. But they had him win for some strange reason, which I was never really sort of huge on. and then he sort of disappeared, and then he obviously enters that feud with Triple H, which I mean it wasn't. See, that's the thing. It wasn't a terrible feud overall. Like the story was fine and all that, but it was just very, very underwhelming. And I think a lot of people, I think, probably wanted to see a Brock Lesnar Triple H because they never really had a proper singles one-on-one match. I mean, they had, from what I remember they had a match in like Australia with The Rock and like a triple threat match. Yeah, this is the first, and the fact that this is the only real sort of matches we got from these two, I was pretty kind of disappointed. The match at SummerSlam was, you know, I didn't really, it wasn't huge on that match, not gonna lie. Lesnar winning was the right move though, for sure. I think if he'd lost to Triple H, like that would have been stupid move. But then they continued. Then obviously, both men disappeared for a while. Triple H, retired, but then came back after Lesnar attacked McMahon, and obviously they built the WrestleMania 29 feud. And it was they did the whole Triple H's career on the line thing, and that's when you just knew Triple H was going to win. That just wasn't going to be how he was going to go out. It was very obvious, I think. And from the get go, and this is the thing, see, Lesnar's first three matches in WWE, he has a 1-2 record. And I think from the start, you're bringing in Brock Lesnar, and he's obviously not in on a full time schedule. He's this part time guy. He really should have. He really should have gone undefeated, pretty much for his entire run. I think, pretty much. I think he should have beat Cena. Being Triple H at SummerSlam was fine. He should have beat Triple H at WrestleMania, I think. And I wouldn't have had the career stipulation personally, but I think he should have lost to. I think he should have beaten Triple H. And then he beat him Extreme Rules, which was fine as well. That was a good match. I'd say that was probably their last two matches. I'd say were pretty good. I did enjoy them. I thought they were good, but they weren't anything like outstanding. They were slightly underwhelming. But then we get to the good stuff, and then we get his feud with CM Punk in 2013, and this was great. I mean, him beating Punk was great, and the feud going into it, I think, was really good as well. And they had a kick-ass match, Lesnar's best match, I think, since coming back in 2012. Like, just fantastic match. Great, utilizes no DQ stipulation. The match was booked really well. I really loved that match. I think it was one of the best SummerSlam matches ever. I'm going to be honest, and and then they start to sort of, and then obviously they then have Lesnar feud with Big Show at the Royal Rumble, and that was what it was. That was fine. Like, it wasn't anything outstanding. It was just it served its purpose. It did what it needed to do. And then he goes into a feud with The Undertaker, and you're sort of looking at his track record, and you're thinking like, oh, this is going to be just sort of standard street match, just another obstacle for The Undertaker to overcome, and he'll sort of win, and it'll be fine. But he beat The Undertaker, and I personally think that the streak never should have ended. Really, I think. Yeah, so as I said, Lesnar should have won all of his matches before WrestleMania, and I still think he should. So he should have beaten everyone that was in his way, and instead of an Undertaker feud, because I never would have ended the streak. I think that was dumb. Um, you could have had him face someone like Batista at WrestleMania 30. I think that could have been quite a good money match. And I know people saying, "Oh, it's the thing is, you could have built up Brock Lesnar in this way as a dominant force, dominant beast, without having to beat the Undertaker's streak. You could have done it in the exact same way, but by beating all the people before. But the fact that he had this sort of record that was just sort of like any other person, it no one really saw him. No one saw him as, oh, he's actually going to beat the streak. And when he did, everyone was shocked just because of it wasn't. It just didn't feel like Lesnar could beat the Undertaker going in. And then obviously he beat Cena at SummerSlam for the title. And he beat him in pretty big, pretty like dominant fashion. That was fine. I think the whole Cena stuff, it was good. Like, the build, it was quite interesting. The two matches were pretty good. And he obviously won the WWE World Title. Then they had the really good triple threat at the Royal Rumble, which I think was the best match of 2015. I think definitely a fantastic match. Um, and 2015 was actually a really good year for Lesnar. I think had some really good matches. Obviously, the triple threat I talked about, match with Roman Reigns, the matches with the Undertaker, they were really great. I think 2015 was a really good year for Brock Lesnar, and I think yeah. So up until this point, I think I liked Brock Lesnar. I thought he was he was, despite some questionable sort of booking decisions, he still seemed like a big deal, a big attraction. And he was having some really good matches actually. But sort of by the time sort of 2016 rolls around, this is when sort of Lesnar just becomes a bit sort of stale, and the magic sort of wears off a bit. And I think the match with Dean Ambrose was good, I guess, but it was just so short, and it really looked as if. And by this stage, you kind of can tell that Lesnar doesn't really care as much. I don't think I mean, people would argue that Lesnar never really cared to begin with. He just had to pick up a paycheck, but I feel like he cared less than he did before. And he obviously, and the sort of the multiple suplexes and the limited offense, it gets very stale and a bit repetitive. And it just gets annoying as well that it also, like, even when he won the world title in 2014, I always found it quite annoying that he would sort of just leave, and then he'd be gone for ages and then just show up whenever he pleased. I found it a bit annoying, so I like to see champions who sort of are willing to defend the belt at all times. I get the argument of, oh, it makes the belt seem like a big deal, but I like the idea of also sort of a fighting champion as well. That's just me anyway. Like, some people would really like. Do like the sort of the idea of the belt being a big attraction and being defended on big occasions, I guess, which is fair enough. But yeah, back to 2016. And then he had the match with um, Randy Orton, and going in, I was excited for the match. I mean, from what I remember, the build was fine, but it was more sort of just the fact that these two had never faced before. Big occasion, SummerSlam main event. I was very excited, and whew, yeah, again, let down massively. SummerSlam 2016 overall, I thought was a very disappointing show. Like, if I was like overall, I thought it was fine. Like, it was an okay show, but a lot of the matches I just thought really were disappointing. And that was sort of main example of that. I was very disappointed by that match and really annoyed the way it ended. And it was the feud sort of came to a conclusion at a house show, which was really annoying because I would have liked to have just seen a definitive finish. Well, I guess it was definitive, but sort of like an actual finish, like by a pinfall or a submission, But and then by this point, they then start to do the Goldberg stuff, and I wasn't huge on the way Goldberg won against Lesnar. I didn't mind Goldberg winning, but the fact that it was literally in under a minute, I just thought was stupid, and it made Lesnar look like a complete dork, and it made the entire roster look pretty silly. Like, this a lot this really like this older guy Goldberg just coming in and squashing. And I get they were trying to do the idea of Lesnar sort of not taking him seriously, but I think the match could have been short, but in a way where you know Goldberg still wins. But then the match at WrestleMania 32 I actually thought was 32, 33. I thought was booked really well actually. Um, I think that was the best example of sort of how the match should have been done at Survivor Series, Goldberg winning, and then they obviously had Lesnar get the Universal title, and now the belt's just sort of not being defended again. But it will be defended at SummerSlam, I guess. But especially now, I've really gotten to the stage where I just don't care about Brock Lesnar, if I'm being honest. A lot of his matches over the past sort of last couple of years have really sort of, after 2015, after the Undertaker sort of stuff, it really does seem like he cares a lot less. The repetitive offense gets really annoying and just sort of stale, and I really just have no sort of hype to really. I have no hype and no interest really, like when he's on Raw. Like it used to be when he was on, when they were advertising an appearance, I was always like, "Oh, what's going to happen?" Now I really couldn't care less. Brock Lesnar just doesn't seem like a big deal to me anymore. Um, you know, it's getting to the stage where like if he doesn't really care, why should I? That sort of thing. And honestly, if he leaves, I'm not really going to care that much. And I know that may be a controversial opinion. I know a lot of people probably love Brock Lesnar. I, if you watch my top 30 rest list, he's on there. I loved Lesnar, especially his first WWE run, so from 2002 to 2004. I thought he was great. I loved Brock Lesnar in those years, and I liked him early on as well, especially in that 2000, especially in that sort of 2013 and 2015, I really liked as well because I thought that he was just great in those 2013 to 2015. Yeah, not 2014. I thought he was good as well. Yeah, it just he was really good in those years, and I actually really did like him because he's having great matches, interesting feuds for the most part. And then the last sort of year or so, nearly 2 years, he's just sort of gotten really stale, and I think he's just not as much of an attraction as he was, in my opinion. But anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts, whether you agree, disagree, or whatever. Give the video a like, comment below, subscribe to my second channel, follow my Twitter and ask.fm. And once again, thanks for watching, guys.